Warning. The following is an honest movie review. And the producers of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast are not responsible for destroying any fond memories that you might have had of the following film.
Lights, camera, and action. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared. Damn! And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
Okay, first, 1995, and we are in a technological mecca. At least we believed we were. Mm-hmm. Movies were predicting astronomical computer processing power with so much information said computers would need almost an unheard of 1 gig of storage.
It's crazy. Crazy.
Holy shit.
A whole gig. What?
And a bunch of rebel computer nerds can bring down the world economy, but there was just one problem. Dial-up. 1999 was all about the high-tech world of dial-up internet and floppy disks, because while CD writables were used by professionals, they were not mass marketed to the public until 1997.
When we all used them to make our own CDs.
Yeah, and it sounds stupid now, but what an amazing thing that was.
It really was.
To make your own mixed CDs, and yeah.
It took you 24 hours to download a song, but god damn it, that song was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Fujitsu's numerical wind tunnel supercomputer used 166 vector processors to gain the top spot in 1994. It had a peak. I am going somewhere with this. It had a peak of 1.7 gigaflops per processor. The Hitachi SR2201 obtained a peak performance of 600 gigaflops in 1996 using 2,048 processors connected via fast three-dimensional crossbar network. To put that in perspective, the Galaxy S20, a phone that came out back in 2020, can reach 400 gigaflops with no problems. My PS5 has 10.3 teraflops, and my Xbox Series X has 12 teraflops. That's between 10,000 and 12,000 gigaflops. While 1 gig was considered a technological impossibility in the 90s, remember 1 gig was still considered high-end in 2004, and 2 gigs didn't become a true standard until 2007/2008. Now, our phones come with a low-end bargain basement of 128 gigs, and terabytes are becoming more and more standard for electronics, at the very least for add-ons. Now, also in 1995, after all these high-tech movies were filmed, a high-end home computer would look like this. A VAT 4 megabyte RAM, 420 MB HDD, 128 cache RAM, local bus motherboard, dual-speed internet, CD-ROM, 16-bit sound card, and quality stereo speakers, 1 megabyte SVGA video, and a 14-inch 28-dot pitch color SVGA monitor. DOS 6, Windows 3.1, MS Works 3 CD. If you don't know what that means, that would run absolutely fucking nothing today. Not a single thing.
Accurate.
And I bet you're thinking, but Jimmy, why are you giving us this technological history lesson? Because I believe we have to suspend our disbelief before we watch this movie. The technology they're going to be talking about is going to be silly.
Well, I think for us, it'll be less silly because we lived through this.
We can relate to it.
We can relate. We can remember when, you know, if your house had a computer, you were a fairly well-off house. Like, not every house had a computer, a home computer. If you had one, it was like communal. None of this, everybody gets their own laptop bullshit. Laptops were like super exclusive and fancy at this point. Yeah. And they also look like little briefcases. So I mean, for us, we can kind of be like, it'll be a little nostalgic, I think. Anybody born after the year 2000, they're going to be like, what is this bullshit?
Yeah. Even if you were born in, I would say 90, because then you would be like 10. Yeah. By the time you hit teenagers, it was starting to, iPhones were right around the corner right there. Tablets were a thing. Before that, like, it's...
Yeah, in the mid 2000s, people were like, I have internet on my phone. And everybody's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I remember having my first phone, and remember it had the numbers, it had the letters on the number. Yeah. So if you wanted B, you had to hit number 2 twice to get that B. Pause for a moment so it would stick, and then continue typing.
And I think that was why a lot of relationships lasted longer at that time, because you couldn't send stupid texts.
Oh, okay. So, I think that was something, because a lot of people might find this laughable when they hear the stuff. We might find it laughable, but like you said, we can relate.
We at least remember this time a little bit better. So it's not so out of the realm of possibility, because this was the future that they were preaching to us. Mm-hmm. That mere mortals didn't have access to yet, but they're like, no, soon this will be the world. Yeah.
Like when you watch a movie from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you already know no TVs, no cell phones, no internet. You accept the time period. Mm-hmm. Unless you're Gen Z, then you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it would be a total mind fuck. Yeah, why don't they just use their 1940s smartphone to find where they are? But movies like The Net, Strange Days, Johnny Mnemonic, Virtuosity, and Hackers all came out in 95. And I think all of these movies are candidates for this podcast. But they were all unsuccessful, maybe except for The Net. And the technological thriller was nowhere to be seen the following year or the year after or the year after. I looked it up. So with that said, it is September 15th, 1995. Hackers opens in 1,812 theaters, the second highest theater count that week behind Mortal Kombat, which had been out for 5 weeks already. And it opened in 4th place with just over 3.1 million. Tu Wong Fu, Clockers, and Dangerous Minds opened in front of it. The Usual Suspects, Braveheart, and Mortal Kombat were behind it. By the second weekend, it dropped down to 8th and closed its second weekend with just over 5 million. It stayed in theaters for 15 weeks, not a lot of them, but was able to accumulate 7.5 million. But against a decent market campaign, because they did a lot of, like, because they did put something on the internet and they pretended that it was hacked, that type of thing, which was really kind of cool back then. And it had a $20 million budget. So it was in the red. For you computer nerds, going in the red is bad in 1995. But it might have recouped a bit in rentals. Again, I didn't get a lot of info on that. So what do you remember about Hackers?
I remember I wanted to become a hacker after I watched it, because I was like, God, that's so cool. But then I was reminded we were still being charged for our internet through the phone, and it was expensive. So, no. I remember liking it. I remember it also being kind of a fantasy movie, because it wasn't the real world, but it was the world that they were promising us. Yeah. And there's a little bit of action in it. And I remember thinking these kids are just too cool for me, because I would never dress like that. Ever.
I remember going, holy shit, who is this Angelina Jolie actor? And how to get said date with her when you're young and stupid and thought that was actually a possibility. But I think TJ Hooker, John Lee Miller, he was the biggest young actor at the time, I think. Maybe not. I think Trainspotting came out after this movie.
Trainspotting came out after this, but Johnny Lee Miller already had
a
very long career in the UK. He had been on a lot of stuff. So this was also where my crush on Johnny Lee Miller started. And no, it has not ended to this day. I still think he's adorable. But yeah, no, he was probably, of the younger actors, definitely one of the more established ones.
Yeah. I love Matthew Lillard. Me and my
Yes.
kids still watch all the Scooby-Doos.
He's such a good actor.
Yeah, I do like
Such a good actor.
Matthew Lillard. Angelina Jolie, awesome. I don't know what she did before this, but by the end of the 90s and 2000, she was everywhere.
She was.
And of course, Fisher Stevens is in this, who has been in tons of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a lot. I think I really liked it because it was young people fighting the system, fighting the man. I probably did not know much about the system back then or who the man in which they were fighting was. But I remember being kind of stylish and cool, kind of like you said, they dressed cool. It had almost like an MTV vibe to it.
It was very edgy and kind of, I don't want to say out there, but it was kind of out there for like the average teen who would go watch this movie, or even someone in their 20s, because you're sitting there going, I don't know what high school they go to that they can just roll around on rollerblades, because everybody's on rollerblades at some point in this movie. That I remember, because then I wanted rollerblades, and then I remembered I have really shitty balance, so we're not doing that. But yeah, no, it was a very kind of stylized movie, and it was very, very, oh God, very specific in its look.
Yeah.
And you see like the adults or the ones who are trying to screw over the kids are all, you know, usually dressed in dark, boring colors. And the kids are the ones with all the personality.
Yeah.
Like that's what I remember the most. All the adults being boring, but all the kids being, or all the hackers being, I don't know why I put air quotes on that, but all the hackers were kind of out there and edgy and wild. And you were just like, this is fun. I want to do that.
Yeah. And just to let everyone know that in the 90s, MTV was edgy. It was cool. I don't believe there were any TV shows yet. In 95, it was still playing music videos.
They were still playing a lot of music videos. But I think in 95 was when they started with their reality shows. If I'm not... No. Was it? Now I'm going to look this up because I was thinking my Super Sweet 16, but I'm like, no, that started in the 2000s.
Yeah.
You'd think someone who worked for MTV at one point would know this.
Like Jersey Shore.
Oh, that was well
Viva
into
La Bam.
2007.
That was all late. Yeah. That was after Jackass, which was in 2000. Yeah. So it was still, I know they had like their programs, but they had their VJs. They had VJs. Yeah. And they had their little thing. But yeah, MTV was still very cool.
It really was. It was a style maker.
Yeah. Now, when I was making this list of the movies to pick, and this was on it, I did get it mixed up with Strange Days. Now, Strange Days, I remember better, and I remember that movie being really cool. I don't remember a lot about this movie. I know they're hackers.
I know they're hackers.
Yeah.
They rollerblade.
They rollerblade. They rollerblade and they type and they.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's lots of typing. I remember graphics, like a lot of graphics to kind of, I guess, illustrate the hacking. So I remember that, like a lot of it.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering, I'm like, was it?
Sorry.
No, never be sorry for that.
Hackers, Tale of the Tape. 1995, it is rated PG-13, and it comes in at a cyber war waging wait of 1 hour and 44 minutes. So let's bring up the post. There are 3 posters. The one was a publicity stunt. And can you see that?
Yes.
Their only crime was curiosity. This was, I think, a special poster.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was the main. Here's the regular movie poster with Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one that I am familiar with, and that's one I'm familiar with, which is the VHS.
Yeah, the DVD cover is pretty much exactly the same, except I don't think it has the computer in it. It's literally like Johnny Miller and Angelina Jolie.
Which is kind of funny, a technological thriller on VHS for like 4 years before DVDs came out.
It's so crazy to think about this entire movie. Because I remember at one point they were all looking for a floppy disk. And I'm like, God.
Yeah, floppy disks. And they
Now
came in
it's just
different
breaking
sizes.
into people's clouds.
Yeah. Taglines are quite a few. It was Hack the Planet. Their crime is curiosity. Their only crime was curiosity. Boot up or shut up. You thought your secrets were safe. You were wrong. There is no right or wrong, only fun and boring. Mess with the best, die like the rest. The synopsis. A teenage hacker finds himself framed for the theft of millions of dollars from a major corporation. Master hacker Dade Murphy, a.k.a. Zero Cool. Oh, fuck. A.k.a. Crash Override. has been banned from touching a keyboard for 7 years after crashing over 1,500 Wall Street computers at the age of 11. Now keen to get back in front of a monitor, he finds himself in more trouble than ever.
Mm-hmm.
As you can tell, that was the first time I read the synopsis.
And that's really all you need. Let's never read that again.
Zero Cool and Crash Overdrive. I'm sure we're going to hear it quite a bit throughout the movie.
Oh, yeah. They all have, I forgot about that. They all have hacker names. Jeez.
Reviews. Rotten Tomatoes has 35 reviews from critics, giving it a score of 31% and an audience score of 100,000 plus, giving it an average of 68%.
Really?
So again, yeah,
Wow.
this is a cult classic.
Yeah, no, I know it's a cult classic, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I wonder
was
what
surprised.
brings someone to watch it.
It could be the cast. It could be just them being rebels. It could have been the cool names.
The cool names.
Because if I hear someone's called Zero Cool and Crash Override,
Oh,
I want to watch that movie.
100%.
IMDb with 71,000 plus user ratings, giving it a 6.2 out of 10. So slightly less than Rotten Tomatoes, but still pretty high. The critic consensus was Hackers has a certain stylish appeal, but its slick visuals and appealing young cast can't compensate for the cliched and disappointed, uninspired story. Now our review highlights. There weren't a ton, but there were some. One may criticize Hackers for being unreal, ridiculous, or just too cheesy, but it stands as one of the most underrated gems to have come out of the 1990s. The performances are vibrant, the storytelling is kinetic, and the visuals are something to behold. The next one, Hackers isn't a very good movie, but it's a darn sight more fun than The Net. That was his, and that was a top critic.
That was really?
Yeah. Next one, a disjointed yet generally enjoyable stint of the movie, even for those who don't know an infoband from a nanosecond. A plot thinner than an LCD monitor doesn't prevent the bombastic fun, and the young cast help it hurtle along. Silly, predictable, and dare I say, oddly endearing. Hackers is the first film I've seen in a long while that annoyed me so much I actually enjoyed it.
Fantastic.
So it gives me a little hope.
I have a little bit of hope. I'm really hoping it leans on the nostalgia.
Yeah. Okay, now we will watch the... Like I said, I don't watch any of these until now. So I am just as stunned or impressed as you are. Entire screen.
Oh my God.
All right.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Oop.
Hidden beneath the world we know is the world they inhabit.
Dave?
Yeah, Mom?
What are you doing?
I'm taking over a TV network.
Finish up, honey, and get to sleep.
They're hackers.
Hackers penetrate and ravage private and publicly owned computer systems.
Hack the planet.
It's not just something they do.
Sure this sweet machine's not going to waste.
Are you challenging me?
It's who they are.
I win, you wear a dress on our date.
And if I win, so do you.
They can crack any code get inside any system.
Hello?
Mr. Gill, according to our records, you're dead.
What?
But this time,
Come here, look at this.
Some kind of virus.
unless $5 million is transferred to the following account, I will capsize 5 oil tankers. They just hacked the wrong guy.
Game's over.
Whoever wrote this needs somebody to take the fall.
He's about to commit the perfect computer crime.
You've created a virus that's going to cause a worldwide disaster?
And they're about to take the blame.
A hacker planted the virus. It's the perfect cover.
We're being framed.
Can we be allies? I don't play well with others. Oh, wow, we are fried. Okay, let's nail it.
Now,
You're not good enough to beat me. Yeah, maybe I'm not, but we are.
they're the only ones who can prevent a catastrophe.
I know how to stop this guy. They'll trace you like that. Are you nuts? Come at me!
Unlike any the world has ever seen.
Never send a boy to do a woman's job.
Hackers of the world unite. Cops on the building. I need more time. This is the end, my friend.
United Artists welcomes you to the new world.
Freeze!
Hackers.
So yes, it does not look realistic.
No,
even
not
by
even a little
today's
bit.
standards.
Not even a little bit. Like, don't get me wrong. Back then, half of the stuff that was in it was like cutting edge. Like you saw VR and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But not very realistic.
But again, I'm not looking for realistic.
No.
For this movie, I'm hoping for nostalgia. I am looking for silly technology. I wrote down, and by watching that, I think it has that in spades. Just something fun. I'm not going to be too harsh on it for its unrealism or anything. It's like, actually, you made a really great point. It's a fantasy movie. Like, if we go in looking at that, yeah. Because if you go in looking at a smart technological thriller, you'll be sorely disappointed.
Oh, so much.
But yeah, no, this looks like a fun fantasy 90s movie.
Yeah. I think I'll like it. I think there will be a lot of eye rolling.
Yeah.
But I think I'll still like it. God, I hope I still like it. This was one of my favorite movies, and I watched it really steady for a while. I bought the DVD, like the whole 9. And then I stopped watching it probably in mid to late 2000s. So it's been well over a decade, maybe even 15 years since I've seen this.
Yeah.
Probably more than 15 years. So, I mean, in my head, I still really like it.
And back in 95, or whenever I didn't go to the theaters and watch any of these movies, but I remember being into Hackers and Strange Days and The Net and Johnny Mnemonic and Virtuosity.
Yeah.
They were good. Well, they were good. I remember them being good, but I was into it. But I never did go to the theaters and see them. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll watch it. And we'll
I think it's one of those movies we just gotta kind of dive in and watch, because it could go either way.
Yeah.
Like, it could either be, God, this was so terrible, like even the nostalgia couldn't save it and it was just like done. Or it could be, well, this made me feel kind of warm and fuzzy and missing the days of dial-up.
Yeah.
And ICQ chats.
Dial up.
MSN Messenger.
Yeah. Yeah. Chat rooms.
Oh, God. Those were the days. Oh,
no, but we'll go watch it and we'll find out.
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
the show.
Okay, so we welcome everyone back. We've both watched Hackers. Your initial thoughts?
Better than I thought it was. Like, even back then, it's better than I thought it was back then.
You liked it better than back then?
Yeah.
Really?
Because I think I convinced myself that I liked it so much because I had a crush on Johnny Lee Miller. And I'm like, it couldn't have possibly aged well. And then I watched it and I was like, hey, you're actually really good.
Okay, so this is awesome because we both have a way different.
Aw, did you hate it?
Yeah, my initial thoughts, I wrote it down. Like, I got the movies mixed up. Everything I thought I remembered from this movie, I remembered from either Johnny Mnemonic.
Mnemonic.
Yes. Or and Strange Days. I got worried when I saw the trailer. And then 5-10 minutes into this movie, I knew. Like, this movie's a cyber version of Saved by the Bell. I know a lot of people remember that show fondly. I do not.
Well, I remember it mostly fondly, and Zach Morris was a douche. Like, we can all agree on that.
Wow, you were really into the show.
I watched the entire series.
Did you watch
even
the new
the
class
college
too?
years? Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I watched the new class.
It's starting to
terrible.
It's starting to make sense why you like this movie. We usually agree to some degree, so this is awesome. But to me, this movie was stupid. Angelina Jolie was hot. This movie was silly. Angelina Jolie was hot. The tech made no sense, even for a futuristic look. Like, even the characters, but Angelina Jolie was hot. She was 20 when she made this movie. I checked it, so I wouldn't sound completely creepy. Plus,
Just a little creepy.
Plus, I'm speaking for my younger self that watches this movie.
Sure.
Myself now thinks Angelina Jolie now is hot. So it's been very consistently. But yeah, okay. So you liked it. I did not. Let's go. Okay. On August 10th, 1988, 11-year-old Dade, zero cool. Okay, if you're like zero cool.
No. The handles are ridiculous. We can all agree on this.
Yeah, and if anyone's listening to this, haven't watched this movie, if you're wondering how much corn is in this movie, the answer is a lot of corny, like heaps, shovels.
So much.
Murphy's family is fined $45,000 for crashing of 1,507 computer systems, causing a 7-point drop in the New York Stock Exchange. He is banned from computers and touch-tone telephones until he is 18 years old. That whole opening wasn't bad. It was a good way to set up the whole he's a dangerous hacker, even at 11. The Karen's being fined $45,000. I would have beaten that kid.
Oh, 100%.
And it was like the 80s. Like, he was 11, so that's the 80s. Like, he would have
$45,000 could actually probably be a really good down payment on a house.
Yeah, I was going to say, most places you could have bought a house.
True story.
On his 18th birthday, he hacks into the local television station and changes the broadcast to an episode of The Outer Limits. Another hacker, Acid Burn. See, the corn keeps on coming. Counters Dade's attack. Dade identifies himself as he wants to be a different person. Crash Override. I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. I don't know how long that scene was. I do know it was too long. I don't know if it was cool in 1995 to see a mechanical arm grab broadcast tapes and fight back and forth.
Maybe it's because I used to work at a TV station and I've seen that mechanical arm that I'm like, yeah, this is funny.
I did work at a, what is it called? It's the local broadcasting. Every town used to have them.
Yeah.
Just your channel, whatever, where it's local. People could go on and do their own shows. We didn't have the mechanical arm. We had to actually go get the big broadcast tape and shove the thing in. But yeah. Anyways. At school, Dade becomes part of a group of hackers. Ramon the Phantom Freak. I didn't mind this character. He had a bit of range.
Yeah.
Sanchez, Emmanuel, serial killer. No, wait. Ramon the Phantom Freak Sanchez, Emmanuel Serial Killer Goldstein. I said it before and I'll say it again. I do like Matthew Lillard.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Lord Nikon Cook.
Yep.
For his photographic memory. Joey Pardella, a novice hacker without an alias and the youngest member, and Kate Acidburn Libby, the hacker who kicked him out of the TV station earlier. Yeah, I don't know.
The build up to the action takes a little longer than it should. But that's because they want to introduce you to all the players. So, I get it.
Yeah, I get it, too.
I was like, decent storytelling, just a little dry. Although I like the pool on the roof prank.
Yeah, when he came out and they were like,
yeah.
Don't shut the door. Yep.
Yeah. I was like, hazing. Fun. It felt very much like a high school movie. And I like high school movies. So I was like,
I thought it, and it's very 90s high school. Yeah.
So 90s.
Yeah.
So 90s.
But not,
which I also love.
Not my high school 90s, the TV. And that's what my reference to Saved by the Bell was, like a very fake. Yeah. And
my high school wasn't like that at all. I went to an all-girls Catholic school, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Angelina Jolie character, she had a very big presence. She was very gorgeous, but you could tell right away that she had talent. Like it was there in this movie. Like anyone in Hollywood with half a brain could see that, and obviously they did. Her career would eclipse everyone in this movie in 2 or 3 years. Even a movie like this, which to me is on another level.
But I will say this: all of the actors who portrayed the teenage hackers, incredibly well performed. All of the actors were really great. Like they actually put thought into their characters. Like they had solid characters that they were portraying.
Yes, I did like the Phantom Freak, and I did like the Nikon guy, the Matthew Lillard's crazy character.
Yep.
I even like Acid Burn, not just because she was hot. I even like her character was.
Hold on. Do you think she's hot? Because I don't think you've been clear about that. You've been kind of dancing around it.
Well, I like to let everyone know that, yeah.
It's a secret you're willing to tell now.
Yeah. I'm willing to admit it after all these years of keeping it to myself. Joey, out to prove his skills, breaks into the Gibson, an Eleganson Mineral Corporation supercomputer. While downloading a garbage file as proof of his feat, his mother disconnects his computer, leaving him with a fragmented file. However, his intrusion has been noticed and brought to the attention of computer security officer Eugene the Plague Belford, a former hacker. Okay, so while we're here, I want to share something. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing.
That has nothing to do with computers. That's algebra.
that is actually algebra is used in creating algorithms, but it's
that is true. But
I like that. That is true, but no, it never looks like that when you're going through computer files. No, like programming script looks like that. That is total and utter bullshit.
Yeah.
We can all agree.
I get it. It's a fantasy, and I got a couple more clips, but we'll get to them as we go.
But also, when did this movie come out? 1995?
1995.
Who had enough money to buy the really fancy laptops that weren't the size of like a dresser drawer? Nobody. So when I saw the laptops in this, and I was like, why is everybody's laptop so small? Like, this is the point where like home computers, like desktops, were just becoming commonplace. Like where it wasn't abnormal for every house to have a computer.
Yeah.
But it was the desktop that everybody shared. So I'm seeing all these kids with like laptops. I'm like, where did you get the money for that? That you have to suspend a little bit of disbelief in this, because once you see the graphics like that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You're like, it doesn't look like that.
No.
You go cross-eyed because you're trying to read all of these lines of script. Like, I think it was like 2 years after this movie came out, I had to do computer programming, one of my classes. And It did not look anything like that. I can tell you that right now. It was working out of DOS. It was like a whole thing.
Well, now we're going to go and we're going to take a look at clip 2.
Oh, Lord. There's a second clip.
There's 5.
Jeez. You're getting emotional about this.
All right, here he is, the plague.
Yes.
What the fuck is with those pillars? Look at that.
Yeah, no server room in the world looks like that. None whatsoever. But we also have to remember computering is still a novelty at this point. So half the people wouldn't fucking know what a server room actually looks like.
That is true.
So they're like, we're just going to go for the pretty as opposed to accurate.
Yeah.
That is one of my pet peeves. I'm like, I would have preferred a proper server room. Also, server rooms are so much colder. You wouldn't be able to just sit in there.
No.
And
Like
just,
those
like,
big
chill.
giant server farm things. Yeah, they're freezing.
Yeah, no. But also, I want to point out that I love Eugene's character.
The plague?
Yes, the plague. Because he is the adult who wants to be young and cool, but is not young and cool.
No, he is not.
Like, not even a little bit. Like, he wants to be edgy, and he does all the cliche things to be edgy, and I love that. I love that you see it on screen where it's just like, I'm cool. Look at me be cool. I'm on a skateboard.
I like how he skateboards, and we'll get more to the skateboardings. Oh, okay. The plague realizes the garbage file being downloaded is a worm he himself inserted to defraud Ellingson, claiming the file is the code to the Da Vinci computer virus that will capsize the company's oil tanker fleet, and pretending the hackers are to blame. He enlists the U.S. Secret Service to recover the file. In fact, the plague had inserted the Da Vinci virus as a red herring to cover for his worm. I like Fisher Stevens. I do.
Love him.
I didn't like him in this movie. I like Lorraine Bracco.
Yeah, Lorraine Bracco.
But for shame, Lorraine Bracco. She even looked like she was trying in this movie.
Well, their characters felt very cartoon villainish. Like,
yeah.
It was a little cartoony. I will fully admit that. But I kind of like that because there's so much that is ridiculous about this movie that if they had been serious villains, this movie would not have worked. You don't think it worked, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I think it worked, like, because it's over the top and over stylized. It's not like a true story kind of vibe, you know?
No, yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. And unfortunately, that's the reason I didn't like it.
Totally understandable.
Now, Joey is arrested and his computer searched, but he had hidden the disk containing the file. Dade and Kate, that's Zero Cool and acid burn to you people, make a bet with Dade choosing a date with Kate should he win, and Kate having Dade perform menial computing tasks if she prevails. The hacking duel is to harass Secret Service agent Richard Gill, who was involved in Joey's arrest. After various hacks, including canceling Gill's credit cards, creating personal ad in his name, fabricating a criminal record, and changing his payroll status to deceased, the duel remains a tie. I did like that part. That part was funny.
I love that. Wendell Pierce.
I do like him.
He was
awesome.
So good.
Yeah, he was actually good in this movie.
That entire sequence, I was like, yes. This is amazing.
Yeah, they're like, you're deceased. And he's like, I'm what?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Or they cancel his credit card when he's at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that part I did like.
Yeah. It was a good, like, comedic montage.
Released on bail, Joey reveals the disc to Freak, who is arrested the next day, and informs Kate the disc is hidden in a bathroom at school. That part was kind of funny too, where she goes to get it behind the condom machine and then gets the condom and all the guys just staring at her. Like, she's like, whatever, just getting a condom. Kate and serial killer ask for Dade's help, which he refuses as he has a record. He copies the disc for them so they have an untampered evidence. Determining that Dade did not hack into Ellingson, the plague sends him a powerful laptop with a request that he join him. He later threatens to have Dade's mother incarcerated with a manufactured criminal record. At this, Dade agrees to deliver Kate's copy of the disc. And this has to be one of the stupidest scenes I have ever seen.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And we're going to watch it. Because it's that stupid. I didn't...
Oh my God.
Hold on. There you are. This is
one of my favorite scenes from the movie.
And if you like it, I get that. And
yeah.
I respect that to a degree.
No, like,
we'll
talk about that in a hot second. I want to see this because I love this scene.
There he is. There he is.
It's fucking amazing. Because also Dade's face.
Yeah.
Initially, he's like, what?
And if you look at the right-hand corner,
yeah,
you see him running, and then the car going without him.
It's because they didn't have the insurance to let him go around the corner.
So the guy is the corporate driver is driving the corporate car. And the plague, I'm just for anyone that's just listening to this, is holding onto the car, riding his skateboard.
Correct.
Goes by and grabs it from his hand. How did he get past that? What was it there? The fire hydrant. The fire hydrant. Yeah. Because it showed him about to hit it, and then it cuts to Dade, and then back, and then he's past it. And I just thought
it's the magic of the skateboard.
Yeah, and it didn't even look like he was very good at it because he looked kind of wobbly.
Right? But that's what's amazing about this, because you have this essentially middle-aged man who's so desperate to be hip and cool and young that he's holding on to the side of a car while he rides a skateboard.
Yeah.
In like the middle of the night on a deserted street.
With a lot of smoke.
With a lot of like steam coming up from the grates. And I'm like, I don't know if that scene was meant to be serious, but that scene brings me so much joy.
Like if I was that driver, I'd be like, what the fuck am I doing?
Could you imagine you go to pick him up, you go to open the door and he's like, no, keep it closed, but maybe roll down the window a little so I get a good grip.
Yeah. And don't go too fast. I'm on my skateboard.
Keep it at like 20 clicks per hour. Please, like, let's do this.
Okay. Yeah, and there's also an inordinary amount of rollerblading in this movie.
Accurate, though. It was 1995.
Yeah.
Everybody and their mother rollerbladed.
Absolutely. But it wasn't done well. It didn't look great. Because a lot of them, when it was them rollerblading, looked... Mm-hmm. Kate, Lord, Nikon, serial killer, and Dade learn that the code is a worm designed to salami slice. This I did read through first before doing it. And salami slice is actually a term where you, an act of doing like a double thing to steal something. It is a term, and that's not the technical term, what I just said, obviously. But they're designed to salami slice 25 million from Ellington transactions, and that the Da Vinci virus is set to capsize the oil fleet the next day to provide cover and distract from the worm. Dade confesses that he gave Plague the disc and reveals his hacking history as, zero
Crush.
Cool.
Oh, that's right. He is zero cool initially. I was like...
And they're like, wow, zero cool. And I'm like, for the love of fucking God. Stop being stupid. Dade and Kate seek out Razor and Blade. Jesus Christ. I thought the Double Dragon movie was bad.
It was.
Yeah, it was bad.
But it was awesome.
Razor and Blade, producers of Hack the Planet, a hacker-themed TV show. Lord Nikon and serial killer learn that warrants for their arrest are being executed at 9 a.m. the next day. The next morning, Dade, Kate, Nikon, and serial killer Rollerblade from Washington Square Park, evading the Secret Service by hacking the traffic lights. Again, you couldn't find some pro rollerbladers and giving them a couple bucks. What I learned was that the cast had to take a couple of weeks before shooting to learn how to rollerblade, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, they looked like they had only been rollerblading for a couple of weeks. It didn't look that great. It looked, to me, it looked. And if you like it and you're liking the cheese, then it's probably even better.
Well, if this was a movie about rollerbladers and they all looked like beginners, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, yo, y'all should have taken a couple more months and like really gotten this shit down. However, it's about a bunch of teenage hackers in New York living in neighborhoods they shouldn't be able to afford.
Yeah.
Because single parents, except for Acid Burn, Kate Libby.
Yeah,
her mother.
mom's...
Yeah. I'm like, your apartment makes sense. But some of the other ones, I was like, I know what street that when the freak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When he looks out his window and looks down the street, I was like, I know where that street is.
Yeah.
And in 1995, you couldn't have afforded that. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is, yes, they were shitty rollerbladers. But it's not a movie about rollerbladers, so I'm not that bothered by it.
Meeting up with Joey at Grand Central Terminal, they use payphones and acoustic couplers to hack the Gibson. At first, their attempts are easily rebuffed by the Plague, who calls Dade to taunt him. Razor and Blade have contacted hackers from around the world who lend their support and distract Plague long enough for Joey to download the file. This, I'm sure you loved it, and I will give you a chance to defend it, and I'm going to show it.
You would be surprised. This was not my favorite scene.
No?
But it was, no.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that as soon as we watch this. I love that you brought clips.
Yeah.
You're not good enough to beat me. Yeah, maybe I'm not. We are, Chris. Give it up. Just give it up.
Like, what's he doing? Okay, hold on. While we're here.
Yeah.
Come on, you son of a bitch. Is that all you got, huh? Come on, let's see what else you can do. You talking to me? Are you nuts? Come at me.
Yeah. We can all agree. The graphics are ridiculous. The imagery is ridiculous. But this entire movie is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love the ridiculousness of it. But when Razor and Blade were calling all the hackers all over the world, the first hacker they called pissed me off because he just picked up the phone, and I had that exact same cell phone in 1999. But he just picked it up. He didn't press any buttons. Nope. So he never actually answered the call. Nope. He just put it up to his ear, said some stuff, and then put it down and then kept typing. And I was like, no. But I liked all the other hackers. But I like how every single hacker, except for that first guy, was a little edgy, was a little like weird. First guy was like a random businessman who was sitting at a cafe. Like,
and then the others were teenagers.
Somewhere. Yeah, teenagers. And then one of them,
Russian mafia dude.
Yeah. That guy's going to die of lung cancer. I was like, dude, that's a very smoky room you're in. I see a lot of empty bottles. Are you okay? That's more accurate to what a hacker is. Someone who looks like, and their environment looks like they've been sitting at that computer for like 4 days.
And what was that thing that John Lee Miller, or Zero Cool, was wearing on his head? It didn't even explain what it was doing or how it was helping him, or...
I think it's basically, you know, the Google glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. Something like that.
It just sounds like so much tech in this.
No, there was so much tech in this where I think it was literally just like proposed or like in the future, because this is not an accurate representation of what hacking is like. This is not an accurate representation of the general knowledge that like the world had about computers at the time. So
Yeah.
they could totally bullshit through the entire thing and everybody be like, oh my God, that's so cool. The VR goggle headsets thing, at that point, that shit wouldn't have really worked.
No,
And
not even that
have-
VR game he was playing wouldn't have worked back then.
It wouldn't have looked
Nothing.
real either. It would have been super pixelated, because if you've ever seen that episode of Murder, She Wrote, where she goes and they make a video game that's a 3D video game, so like it's for VR, and it's it looks like a Nintendo video game. It's amazing. Anyways,
Well, I know what I was playing in 95, and yeah, it wasn't.
yeah, the graphics weren't that great, so I was like, and that was when VR was just being introduced.
Yeah.
That was also when thinner laptops were just being introduced. So everything in this, like tech-wise, except for the server room and everything in there, was very cutting edge. Some of it looked super ridiculous, but it was very cutting edge for the time.
Okay. After crashing the Gibson, Dade and company are arrested. Dade surreptitiously? There we go. Informs serial killer that he tossed the disc in a trash can. As Dade and Kate are being interrogated, Razor and Blade jam television signals and broadcast live video of serial killer revealing the plot and Plague's complicity. Plague is arrested while attempting to flee Japan. Actually, what's-her-name gets arrested first because he takes off.
Yes.
Then he
From
gets
that
cut on the
creepy
plane.
bed.
Yeah. Why the Secret Service waited for the plane to take off? I mean, are they going to go to Japan with them, or are they turning the plane
don't
around
know.
and ruining 300 people's whole trip?
I have no idea. They could have done a scene where he's just walking up to the gate about to board,
Yeah.
and he gets taken out by the CIA. But I'm like, no, let's get him in the air.
Their
Halfway to
names,
Japan.
their names cleared. Dade and Kate begin a relationship, and I couldn't be happier that the movie's over. You?
I had so much fun watching this movie.
And that's okay.
I know, and it's okay that you hated it, and
Yeah.
you were very glad for it to be. There wasn't nostalgia for this movie, but there was nostalgia for the 90s. There was nostalgia for, because a lot of the hackers and the little people around, like, they reminded me of the people, not exactly that I grew up with, but I hung out a lot on Queen Street West when I was younger, like in my teens. And Queen Street used to be filled with people who looked like that, who would start singing like buskers, interesting stores. Now it's bullshit. But back then it was very eclectic. So it almost feels like my childhood, this movie. There was a lot of comedy. Wendell Pierce was great. Matthew Lillard, always fantastic. I love his character so much.
Yeah, his character.
His character is so amazing. Loved Freak. Loved him. He was fantastic. He was hilarious. It was
I
a
thought
fun movie.
Johnny Lee Miller was ridiculous.
He had a cucumber up his butt, and I feel like he was concentrating too hard to try and have an American accent.
Yeah, something.
But he was still adorable.
I think I remember really liking, now looking back, I didn't like this movie in 1995. And I kept thinking of Johnny Mnemonic, which I remember liking, and Strange Days, which I remember really liking. And then when I started watching this, and I was like, I didn't like this movie. I'm not going to like it at all. So I wasn't going to like this right from the beginning. But
Yeah.
your score.
My score, I'm going to give it a 7. It was very, really good. It was a fun movie. I can see why I liked it back then, and I am glad that I still like it, because it was going to make me very sad if I had yet another movie that I remembered liking and then it turned out shit. But it was a fun movie. Yes, you have to suspend your disbelief for it because a lot of it is just ridiculous. But the fun is in the ridiculous. If you're looking for a deep and meaningful story or Oscar-worthy performances, don't watch this. But if you're looking for something fun and that kind of takes you back to the 90s and the feel and the vibe of the 90s, this is perfect.
All right, 7. All right, mine is this movie was painful to watch. It sucked. I'm sorry. I remember 2 other movies as this movie, and that was a disappointment. Once I realized which movie I was actually watching, it was even more of a disappointment. The Secret Service agent, Wendell Pierce, is awesome, and he was fine. Some of the hackers, Nikon Freak, Serial Killer, I liked. The main cast, holy shit, were they bad. And they're all good actors, all of them. This was a fantasy movie about tech in the future, and as a fantasy tech movie, I didn't like it. It wasn't fun. It wasn't funny, or not funny on it. It was funny, not on purpose though. It wasn't so bad. It was good. I know it's like a cult favorite, and to some people, it's a cult favorite, and I call you people stupid. But
well,
to each their,
we call you stupid, so there.
To each their own. I give it a big old technical 4. Awful, but I could see a few spots where a younger me would have liked it. Not just Angelina Jolie. There was a couple bright spots, but yeah, I did not like it. Why? Well, why I liked it originally. You already said why you did. I'm 100% sure I did not like it, and that was my mistake. If you liked it then, what would you say to people?
It's a fun movie. Don't expect accuracy.
No.
Matthew Lillard. It's the supporting cast takes it. Like, they make it fun. It's fun. That's
and it. I would just say, I already said it. You're an idiot. I stand by that. It was stupid. If you've never seen it, watch it.
Tell us how you really feel.
If you haven't seen it, watch it. And then you can call everyone who liked it stupid too. No. If people have never seen it, what are your suggestions to them?
Don't go in expecting anything super high quality or realistic. Like, this really was kind of a fantasy movie. So don't go in expecting accuracy.
Okay. Could it be rebooted or reimagined today?
Hell yes.
Yeah. If you wanted to do an actual Hackers, yeah, you could probably.
Oh, 100%.
You could set it in 95 and still have rollerblades and try to make it cool this time.
Or you could set it present day. All you need is a group of teenage hackers who get set up for something by corporate cybersecurity. That's all you need. And you can remake this movie. No problem.
If you give me a bunch of paper, I can make a flip book movie with stick figures about hackers that's better than this movie. So yes, it could be remade.
That's a little harsh. It's a little harsh. But yeah, no, I think if they tried a remake of Hackers, they would definitely have a much better movie that they could make today.
Yes.
If they use today's technology, because we walk around with computers in our pockets.
Oh, so, you could probably make a realistic and a very scary, like how they actually do it.
It would definitely be more of a kind of serious movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, could be so cool. Could be so cool.
I'd ask Matthew Lillard to come back.
Could we still have him playing serial killer?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Tell Johnny Lee Miller to, I don't know what he was trying to tap into, like Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver. I don't know what he was doing.
I think he was just so excited to get back on a computer that was online on his 18th birthday. And he was like, I got to take this seriously, guys. Got to take it seriously.
All right. So we have a 7 and we have a 4. Well, thanks for joining us. And yeah, we got both. One of us did not like it. One of us liked it. So we're covered. So if you like it or don't like it, yeah, one of us was right.
Let us know.
All right.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking,